you ready to get into today's top trending stocks? Broken down live right now. We can call it Mike's Minutes or however you want to play this, but let's get into it, buddy.
I like how Mike sees it. I like
how
that.
Mike sees it. All right, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. All right, HKD, break it down.
Okay, so I'm looking to short HKD. I tried to short it today, full disclosure. I went after it one time today at 27.28, tried to see if I was going to be able to short it at that level. Obviously, the squeeze continued. I exited that trade. And the next level I'll be looking at is up around 50. The stock right now feels to me like it's in no man's land. This is not going to short squeeze like it did last time. It's not going to go to $1,000 a share. At one point, this stock you're going to encounter a ton of bag holders. There's so many bag holders on this name, and the stock is going to go right back to where it came from. My target for this thing, if I see this price, I am 100% absolutely shorting it again, and that's going to be $50. And the reason why I'm looking at this $50 level is because you have this purple line, which is the 100-day moving average. You also have this previous pivot resistance back here from early October. So that pivot resistance from back there from early October, coupled with that 100-day moving average, means if there is a continuation tomorrow, I'll look to try to short the stock up into that region and then see if it pulls back and collapses from there. But eventually, in 2 weeks from now, I think the stock is back to $15 or $20 a share.
And let's talk SI. 5 minutes on the clock. Go for it.
Oh, man, SI, this is brutal. This company is getting rocked. $8.1 billion in withdrawals off of their platform. They also saw a massive slowdown in new deposits, and they are cutting 40% of their staff. Not 4, not 10, 40% of their staff. So this company is in trouble. Their CEO came on in November when we were in the middle of the FTX collapse and really was like, oh, we're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. But meanwhile, this stock, we shorted Silvergate back in November when that happened, when we broke 50, and we crushed this thing during this move to the downside. But it's just been completely bleeding out ever since. Huge gap down today. You stayed underneath a key resistance level. What I'm going to look for on Silvergate, I think if Silvergate tries to get back towards 15, I think it's a short. This was on my watch list today to short if I saw $15. So it was on my watch list. It was one of my top trade ideas for the day, was the gap down today. I said, if it gets to 15, I am shorting it today. We did not get to 15. We barely just missed it. So I never did get into my short up there at 15. But I'm still gonna keep that on the watch. So if you get a day like this tomorrow and you can't get back over 15, I would expect then maybe another like a day or a candle formation that looks something like this. The CEO is trying everything he can do to reassure the investment community that they are fine, but it is just not working. There is a danger of a possible collapse from Silvergate. Are they in that much danger? I don't know. They did have to sell a ton of crypto assets at massive losses to cover the $8.1 billion of withdrawals that they had on their platform. So it forced them to make a paper loss into a realized loss. And that's what really hurts Silvergate. Silvergate was down a ton of money on their holdings in crypto, but when they got the $8.1 billion in withdrawals, they had to sell a lot of that to raise the liquid cash in order to make that withdrawal actually happen. So that was a big issue there for Silvergate. What does that mean for their cash situation? And what does that mean for their ability to keep the lights on? Obviously, they're going through severe cost-cutting measures by laying off 40% of their staff. But at some point, there's a fine line between cutting costs and becoming inefficiently operable, where you don't have enough staff to actually maintain the consumer.
2 minute warning. 2 minute warning.
Maintain the consumer experience with your company and with your platform.
How would you trade it?
I just told you. If it gets back to 15, I'm looking to short this. If it gets back up towards 15, and I'm looking for this thing to possibly get down to like $10 or so. There's really no telling where the bottom is on this. It's going to be news driven and fundamentally driven. But I'm looking to try to short bounces back into like 15.50.
Pull up Mullen. MULN. 5 minutes on the clock and go for it. Mullen.
This stock is such a piece of garbage. I know a lot of people get very excited with this thing. We have a lot of resistance up here at 60 cents. You tried to break through the 100-day moving average today. You have some structural resistance back there around 45 cents. You're going to have a lot of people, whenever this stock lights up a scanner, you're going to have, the people come out from under the bridge on social media and talk about the mother of all short squeezes is coming. The mother of all short squeezes is not coming for Mullen. The stock's not going to go back to $17 or $18. There are so many. You want to talk about bag holders? I mean, you have more bag holders on this name. I mean, you're talking about the equivalent of like a CEI type of bag holder on MULN. And you have a huge resistance level up here at 60 cents. I don't trade stocks that are this cheap. It's 40 cents. I don't trade stocks that are this cheap, but I don't know. I see a lot of resistance up here underneath 50 cents. You have this gap and this previous structure right here. I'll just pull it out. I'll draw it up on the screen for you guys. All right. I mean, I traded this thing when it went from like $2, $3 to $4, and we caught that trade long. It was all the way back here. So we traded Mullen during this, and we caught 100% gain on Mullen when this move happened. We were actually in the long, and I haven't really looked at it or traded it since, because it's just been these little dead cat bounces that just fizzle out. I don't think that this is going to be any different than this. I don't think it's going to be any different than this, where it's like, if you get these moves in Mullen, if you're bag holding this thing from like $2 or so, if you do get that move to the upside, just get the hell out of it and cut your losses and get the hell out of town, because it'll work its way back to the downside. This is not something that I believe you should be holding on to, not something that I believe is going to make a run back to $18. I don't like it. If it gets to 60 cents, I would try to short it if I could, but I don't trade stocks this cheap. So I have no intentions on trading it. I like the short a lot better than I like the long. And I think that if you're going to get this stock to 60, or if you get this stock up to like 50, I would take the trade short. I look at this and I just look at where can I short it. That's all I think about. And there's resistance levels that I look at. That 60 cents is a big one. All right, these are I'll just give you these two levels, because these are the big levels that I would look to try to short Mullen at if it gets to it. 60 cents, good level of resistance. You're talking about previous resistance here, previous support here, and then you've got 90 cents. That's a 200-day moving average. And then you'll see previous resistance in August, and then you'll see previous support back there in June. Okay, so those are the two big levels that I see that are resistance. And I do not see the stock getting above that area. So I would cut bait if you're long. I would take your profits if you're long. And if you want to trade these penny stocks, and if you can get a borrow, I would look for the short up there at 90 cents if it gets there.
Let's move into NVCR.
This was a really interesting play today. It was also one of the stocks that was on our watch list for a long at $90.50. We did not get to $90.50. The low of the day today is $94. So we just kind of missed our buying entry. Our buying entry was, oops, let me delete that. I didn't mean to draw two lines. So here was our buying zone. Okay, this line right here, this was the long that we had. It was on our watch list. The reason why this was the area for our long is all you got to do is look at all this resistance, right? So you see all of this resistance that you had here. Previous to that, it was a level of support, right? And then once you broke it, it became resistance. And it's been resistance ever since. For the entire year of 2022, this was resistance. You want to talk about a strong resistance level? It's been there all year. Now, you got the gap up today. You got the pullback, and that's why I was looking to be a buyer down in this region. Okay, that's why I was looking to be a buyer down in this region in front of this level. We just quite never got there. And the stock just kind of reversed. It stuck its foot in the ground, put in this huge tail, this massive volume day, biggest volume day you've had since you had the huge gap up day in 2021. And now you got to start looking at what are buyable pullbacks now for this name. This is a resistance level, okay? This 120 is a resistance level. So I would look for pullbacks maybe off of this zone, possibly to push you to 130, because if you look again here, let's go back. There's your support. There's your support. Cracked it. Then it became resistance. And now look at that. It's the high of the day today as well. So that 120 area is a big level for this NVCR, right? If you're going to look for pullbacks on this thing to try to be long, you had a lot of support here around 105. So watch for gap downs like to 105 area, and then look for that to give you a red to green. So if you gap down to like 105 and very quickly you push to go green, or like, gap down to like 110, 109, and very quickly you push and go green, that's a good indication that the stock still has momentum and you can look for a move to 130. I want to just add to this Mullen. I see some comments about Mullen is going to do a reverse.
Bonus time.
Yeah, some people have said that Mullen's going to do a reverse stock split. Reverse stock splits are not good things. You know, a lot of people, I think, are very confused that a reverse stock split they think is a good thing. It's actually a very bad thing. Companies do reverse stock splits because their stock is a total piece of garbage and the stock has gone to 40 cents, 10 cents, and they're not meeting the minimum bid requirements to be listed on a main stock exchange. When if they don't get the stock price higher, they're going to be demoted down to the OTC. So that's why companies do reverse stock splits. No other reason. For Mullen to do a reverse stock split, yeah, maybe you get like a 1 or 2 day pop of like a short squeeze, which is sometimes what you see when you get these reverse splits. I mean, you take a look at like some of the most recent reverse splits, like an RXLS. This is a perfect example of what I would expect to happen if Mullen did a reverse stock split. So you'll see here a 1 for 50 reverse split on RSLS. Then all of a sudden the stock gives you that squeeze and it's right back to where it came from. If Mullen gives you a reverse stock split, I would expect a quick pop to the upside. And I actually do think if it gives you a reverse stock split, it should give you that big pop because it's very heavily shorted. And it's so followed on social media that when you get the reverse stock split, a bunch of people are going to pour into it, but it's just going to create more bag holders because the stock is going to come right back down to where it came from, just like RSLS did and just like CEI did. CEI did a reverse stock split. The stock is now lower than where it was prior to the reverse stock split, but you got the big gap up prior to it. So like a lot of these reverse stock split stocks recently have been giving you like these massive moves to the upside. JSPR wasn't a reverse split. There was another one too just the other day that did a reverse stock split. RXLS was one of them. I forgot what the other one was, but you'll get like 1 or 2 days of upside and that's your chance to sell it. Okay. That's your chance to sell it. And then I think the stock comes right back to where it came from. So don't be fooled and don't get sucked into becoming another bag holder.
I'd like you to pull up RACY. This thing was trending all day on StockTwits.
Oh, geez.
I'd like to know why. Go ahead.
First of all, there's no volume whatsoever. I mean, this volume is pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. These are 3-minute candles that have 100 shares, 1,000 shares, 1,600 shares, 200 shares, 900 shares, 200 shares in a 3-minute candle. My position size alone is more volume than this stock trades in an entire 3-minute candle. This is a stock you should stay very, very, very far away from. It is going to be extremely easily manipulated. The stock halted a bunch of times, it looks like, unless these are just zero volume prints and the stock just wasn't moving. Yeah, these are just zero volume prints. These aren't even halts. Some of these are halts. But these are just zero volume prints too. I mean, this is just, I don't even know what the news is behind this. It looks like this is a SPAC. I'm not even sure what the news is. Really, I haven't looked at this stock at all. So I'd have to check to see what it looks like this is a SPAC. I'm not sure what the deal is or what the company is that would be going into it, but it looks like it's a SPAC. This is not anything that I would touch because just the volume is so insanely light that it's just not worth trading.
All right. Let's move on. BLPH.
BLPH had a big gap up today on news. They secured a licensing deal with Baylor Biosciences for their Inopulse in China, and that sent the stock surging today up about 140% right now on the day. I like this BLPH for a bounce play at 175. So if you guys are looking for a little bit of a bounce play, it's not encouraging that the stock was not able to hold its gap up today. You can see you went all the way up there to 350 and then closed all the way down near the lows of the day. So that's not a good sign. But I would look for maybe a little bit more downside on BLPH, possibly tomorrow. And then you can probably catch a tradable bounce off of 175. The reason why I'm looking at that 175 is you can see this previous level of resistance. And when you look back further, it used to be a level of support. So that's a nice little spot for us to find our footing on BLPH. You just always have to be careful when you're dealing with these small cap penny biotech stocks. You always have to be careful of offerings. These companies, it is extremely cash intensive for a biotech company to operate. And it's even hard, it's extremely difficult for these very small companies that have no revenue, they have no pipeline, that are generating billions of dollars in free cash flow and profit for them that they can use to fund FDA trials for new drugs that are in their pipeline. Moderna has 48 different drugs in their pipeline. Okay, Pfizer even more. These small companies like a BLPH are very, very small. They don't have the revenue. They don't have the cash. So in order for them to continuously advance through FDA trials, bring drugs or treatments or their product to market, they need to consistently and constantly raise money. It's extremely expensive to hold on FDA trials. So whenever you see a small cap biotech like this have a big surge, you always have to be careful. Check their cash position. I don't know how much cash BLPH has on hand. I haven't looked at their financials, but take a look. If it's only a couple $1,000,000 or if it's even less than that, you can bet your butt that the CFO and the CEO are going to use this 142% move in the stock price to raise capital, and that'll cause the stock price to go back down. So anytime you're looking at these small cap biotechs, you have to keep that in mind. They are very risky holds and swings because of that. Treat these as day trades.
I want to talk about Best Buy. I keep saying Best Buy, but Bed Bath & Beyond. Let's do it.
This company's going out of business. Bed Bath & Beyond is, in my opinion, going out of business. It's only a matter of time. For like every dollar that they earn in revenue, they owe like $7 in debt. I mean, I just don't see how this company is going to get out of this financial situation, especially going into a slowing economy in 2023. So this company had a very difficult time in 2022. This company, was just the benefactor of the meme mania in 2021, even though the stock and the company had no business doing anything near what this stock was doing in 2021. It just got caught up in the meme mania. This stock is in very serious financial trouble. The likelihood or the possibility of this company going bankrupt is very high. I think you're going to see Bed Bath & Beyond pull like a Pier 1 Imports unless somebody comes in and takes this company over and buys up all of their assets and does a restructuring and then, maybe even takes Bed Bath & Beyond private, or I don't even know what
a lot of towels to buy.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like, if that would make sense for a retailer to do that. But if this company does not get help, I don't see them coming out of this. It's not like we're going into this booming economy environment in 2023. The economy is slowing in 2023. Consumers are spending less money in 2023. That's not going to help their financial situation improve. You have higher interest rates, so it's more expensive for them to take on more debt. You can't take on more debt to pay off old debt because the interest rate on that debt is now even higher, and you're just going to spiral yourself into bankruptcy. They are in a bad position financially. I think it's very possible this company goes out of business. I would stay far away from it. I would short bounces and rallies on it. I do not think it's a good long-term hold. I have no intentions on buying this stock. I don't think the outlook is very rosy for Bed Bath & Beyond.
Excellent. So in other words, y'all are going to get great pricing on a juicer.